The Cannabis Heals Me podcast, episode 2.
You're listening to the Cannabis Heals Me podcast, where we explore the real stories of real people who have discovered the profound healing properties of the cannabis plant in their own lives. Find more at cannabishealsme.com.
The Cannabis Heals Me podcast is brought to you by The Grow CFO for all your cannabis accounting and tax needs. Check us out online at www.thegrowcfo.com. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Cannabis Heals Me podcast. On today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Lauren and Shawn Jenkins. I found their story online a few months ago, truly enjoyed it, and it was very impactful to me, so I thought we'd have them on the podcast to share their story. They are the parents of 4 beautiful children. They also played a big role in the legalization of medical marijuana in Oklahoma. So if you listen to today's podcast, you'll learn how cannabis has been helpful in their life and why they're so passionate about this plant. Without further ado, here are today's guests. Hello, everyone. We are here today with Lauren and Shawn Jenkins. They are, what would I call you guys?
I think you would call us
activist,
cannabis.
business owner, activist.
We'll be like everything. As far as that
missionaries.
goes. I would say like
good.
almost like missionaries for cannabis. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, there we go. Let's stick with that.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I saw your story on Facebook, and it was very moving. So that's why I reached out, and I wanted to talk to you guys. And, you know, it was, like a little 3 or 4 minute video, and I thought maybe if y'all wanted to expound on it, wanted to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, so I kind of put that together, a video about who we were, because we had such a unique and complex story to offer, and it's kind of gotten us to where we are today. So basically it all starts with our family and our children. We have 4 children. Our first 2 boys were born without complications, and then on our 3rd child we realized that about halfway through pregnancy that he was missing most of his brain. So it was totally unexpected, just very shocking situation, and we just continued to love and support him and be the best parents we could be, and it changed us. It's a big experience to go through something like that. And unfortunately, Carver, he has seizure disorder because of his brain abnormality, and so that's something that we've had to fight since he was 6 months old. Mm-hmm. And so it is a monster to deal with. Seizure disorders are very scary, not just because it's your child going through this and you're completely helpless and there's nothing you can do, but it's just it's sad to see anybody have to go through something like that, much less your child. And it's, you would do anything to get them to stop seizures and having them.
Well, I'm assuming you probably sought out traditional medicine initially, or did y'all turn to cannabis?
No, we actually, we've always been more passionate about taking health into our own hands, and we've had garden for years and try to feed ourselves, especially during the summer, through that, and do kind of more of the homestead mm-hmm. route and back to the earth. But when you have a child that has or not just a child, but just anyone, a loved one with severe disabilities, severe complications, you're almost laid at the mercy of modern medicine. And so we had to go that route from a legality standpoint and what was best for our child. And so that meant that at the end of that, Carver, our son, is currently still on 2 very strong pharmaceuticals to try to end his seizures, or to at least curb them. And they do curb them for the most part. And I'm not going to say that they don't. He still has seizures, but they also come with a collateral damage. And so it's very hard on his organs. And I don't think that, you know, a child that's not even quite 7 years old yet should have kidney damage and liver damage because of a medicine that they have to take. So, of course, that spurred us, you know, to look for better and more effective treatments and what could do this that was safe for him, so not cause damage to him while we're trying to help him.
Right.
And Oklahoma just now passed a medical bill for cannabis. So when Carver's 6 now, so it really wasn't even an option at that point.
Right.
Even CBD oil, which has come a long way, 6 years ago was, I don't even know if you could buy it at that time. I don't think there was companies that were really shipping it and doing things like that still because of the legality of it all. So with Carver, it was more, we just need to do whatever we need to do for his special situation to take care of him. And then when Lyra, that kind of gets into Lyra, our fourth child, she ended up having brain abnormalities as well, which we didn't notice until she started really having seizures, or when she was getting older. We didn't notice it in the womb, but then things started happening. And so hers isn't as severe as Carver's, but she still has what we assume to be the same disorder, but you know, haven't gotten any answers on that with testing and everything.
Right.
So it's kind of an unknown. But so she, fast forward to now, she started having seizures, and we were able to have access to CBD oil that was high quality. We actually used Charlotte's Web for her, and it could completely control her seizures.
Right.
And we didn't start with pharmaceuticals at that point, because when they started, they were never. It wasn't all the time. It was like she had one, and then there was an occasional one, so we could see that the trend was going that way. And so we talked with her neurologist, and he said, hey, you're welcome to try that if you want to try that, and then if not, we can put her on pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
You know,
So with Carver, are y'all using CBD in conjunction with traditional medication?
yeah, we started supplementing after having positive effects with Lyra. We started supplementing him for his breakthrough seizures that he would still have, and it works well for him. I think he still does have them, but
we're at least down to, instead of these things happening multiple times a day, that it came down to once a day, and now we're, you know, every few days.
right.
You know, so it's a dramatic decrease. And what we were waiting for, you know, of course, through the passage here in Oklahoma with State Question 788, was the ability to start exploring the entourage effect specifically with Carver, since he has such a more severe level of intractable epilepsy. And you know, we would hope, in coordination with our neurologist, that, you know, we find that spectrum that's perfect for him,
right.
Which might require a little bit of THC, a little bit of CBD, but also probably you know, other alkaloids, but more importantly terpenes, and the right profile for him. And if we can dial that in, hopefully that, you know, we can start pulling him off now of these narcotics and getting him to a very safe, only, you know, non-toxic medicine. That's the only one that he has to take.
So even on traditional prescriptions, he was still having seizures.
Oh yeah, multiple. Yeah.
Yep.
Multiple
and
per day.
Yeah, in some cases.
Depending on the day, if he was sick, he definitely would have them multiple times a day, or if he was overtired or not on a good schedule, sleeping was off, you know, that sort of thing can always trigger. It seems to trigger their seizures particularly. So we had two different cases. You know, we had Carver that went the traditional route, and then we have Lyra, who we were able to do the non-traditional route, so to speak, and that drove us into this is a medicine,
right.
And this, you know, even though they take it as a food supplement, that's how they legally can sell it across state lines and stuff now, even though the 2018 Farm Bill that's going into effect actually legalizes hemp and all its derivatives. So CBD market is going to just flourish because of that, thankfully. Because I couldn't imagine being told that I can't buy this, plant oil for her anymore, and then I know what's going to happen if she
Right.
stops taking it.
So with her on the CBD oil, does she have seizures occasionally, or is that pretty well controlled then?
It's pretty well controlled, but I have noticed that, again, with Carver, there are just things that are triggers, and again, if she's sick or if she is sleep deprived or tries to go without a nap and has too much stimulation,
Right.
that can always kind of trigger. But the difference was, too, is that hers in the original unmedicated version hers were lasting like 15 minutes or like 20 minutes, and it was pretty scary because Carver's have always been pretty short,
Right.
and hers weren't, and it was very scary because we were not used to that. Even being used to having seizures
Right.
and that sort of thing, we weren't even used to that. So now, if she has any sort of activity, she's able to recover quicker.
Okay.
Like within a few seconds, she gains control again, and she's not zapped.
And I guess because a lot of people don't understand when someone's having a convulsive kind of seizure, the typical way to help treat that while they're having it, or to help shut it down, is by a benzodiazepam, and that's usually given through anal suppository.
Oh wow! How do you do that when somebody's seizing?
Well.
Yeah, when you're scared,
that's a great
they're
question.
Scared. Yeah, you just got to, I guess.
You try the best you can.
I mean, you can't put it in their mouth, anything in their mouth, so
Right.
that's
Obviously.
like the only way besides, injection or something.
Right.
But there's cannabis products that are out there that are, excuse me, but inhaler emitter.
Like nasal sprays and stuff, or
a foot balm that works fairly well too, that you just rub on the bottom of their feet and
it's absorbed fast and can act quickly within a few minutes. So
and shut them down.
especially the nasal sprays, they can almost be effective immediately.
Okay.
So there's that sort of products coming out as well. So
And those are CBD-based products, or
With a little
They have
THC.
both.
They
Okay.
have both, yeah.
yeah. So
and those products are legal now in Oklahoma.
They are legal in Oklahoma. There's a little bit of the framework. Of course, framework really hasn't been written in its entirety. So there's some products that haven't been listed or haven't been specified out how they can be delivered. But we expect that those things will be here in Oklahoma as well. They are currently in existence in Colorado and Oregon, and all of our established cannabis markets. So I would expect that would be offered here probably within about the next half year. I would hope. Really hope.
Now, for Carver, I guess I'm assuming since these medications are so harmful to his organs, they monitor that. And what do they give you like levels of kidney or liver damage?
His neurologist actually has him on a rotating blood draw. So every 3 months, Carver does a blood draw to track, to see the effective doses in his bloodstream, but also what are the damages.
Right.
And then that's the thing is that a lot of parents have accepted like a trade-off.
Right.
That we're trying to get rid of these horrible seizures because,
Right.
like Lauren was saying, holding your baby girl that I waited for a long time for a little girl.
Right.
I sit through 3 boys, and I thought I don't love my boys. I love them dearly too, but a little girl's different.
Yeah.
And see her shaking, uncontrollable, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Goodness, you'll do anything for her. You just do anything for her. And so, we want to make sure that we have those kinds of high-level products, well-researched, well-tested. At the end of the day, I think for us, if our product that we put out isn't good enough at medicinal quality that'd be good enough for our kids, then, then why are we doing it in the first place?
Exactly. So do they monitor Lyra's, Lyra? Lyra, I'm sorry.
No,
do they
fine.
monitor her vitals?
They don't, because she's not taking anything that's toxic.
Right.
So they don't need to.
That's incredible.
But we do occasional scans, as far as with EEG and to track brain activity.
Right.
And her brain activity's been really great.
Yeah.
So, and she's developing pretty good. And that was one thing I was going to say earlier too, when Lauren was talking, is that when we started Lyra on CBD, I think that it was pretty much within 7 days I started noticing a change with her developmentally and really starting to pick up. And So I knew just because you know your children, you know you're with them all the time, you intimately know who they are, and I could definitely see a shift in her development, and it was really coming on board. So I know a lot of people might say that is anecdotal. I hate saying that word anymore, but because it's almost like they'll say anecdotal evidence is discounted and it's not worth anything. But when you live it and you see it firsthand, I don't care. It works. It works.
It's priceless to you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when something happens like where at one time I was like, well, maybe it'd be better for her if I just gave it to her in one dose instead of 2 doses, and I changed it up, and within 24 hours she was having seizures after me changing it up. So I knew at that point that it was that it is definitely having an effect on what would be happening otherwise.
Right.
And so, you know, we are so thankful for CBD, and CBD holds its place for sure. It's so helpful on so many levels. But cannabis medicine in general needs to come to the forefront, because it's not just the CBD. Sometimes there's diseases or seizure disorders that need the THC. They need the other compounds of the plant.
Right.
And at high levels too. I mean,
extremely
high levels. That people that I know. There's people that love raw flower, and I don't see anything wrong with that. That there are certain disorders that you're treating for that there is no way that you're going to be able to, carbon combust flower and be able to get to the levels of medicine that you need.
Yeah.
So
especially when you're talking about dealing with cancer.
So they're not the THC levels might not be high enough in the plant itself.
Right, to maintain a lot of these diseases, we're finding out that it requires certain saturation levels of every cell in your body. So if you're just occasionally ingesting it, or you partake every once in a while, it's going to be you may not be able to reach those levels of therapeutic dose. So in order for it to be effective, you have to have certain percentages.
You have to have a threshold. You have to have a threshold for efficacy.
The causing the cell apoptosis of cancerous tumors that they found recently. You have to be taking like a gram a day of cannabis, and most like CBD products or whatever say 10 to 20 milligrams for overall daily use. So a gram a day versus 10 to 20 milligrams a day is a huge difference.
Right.
So at that point, but that's the level you need to reach so it can have that effect. So that's why it's great to have a medical program. You're not buying off the street or getting it from someone. You can actually go in and talk to someone who knows the science of it.
Right.
And you can get the exact strain you want, the exact terpene profile you want, the exact dose you want. It comes from a safe, tested source. I mean, there's so many positives to having this legal.
Right.
It was not going to change anybody who's already using it illegally or on the black market. This wasn't about that. It was about making law-abiding citizens have a legal way to come in and get medicine that they need.
Right.
That's safe.
Yes.
It's just access.
Safe access, quality access, and not be criminals because of it.
Right.
And that's, from our perspective, too, that one of the things at 788 that I personally love, and I know Lauren loves, too, was the option to be able to home grow.
Right.
For people that might not have one, they might just have the passion to home grow.
Right.
And they want to take control of their medicine in a very direct way. But, on the other side of that, although we're very super passionate about people's ability and right to be able to do that, on the other side of it, though, is like, well, I think they should also have the ability to test their own product at home. And so we've been trying to work out partnerships and like within Flowercraft and our company to be able to allow home growers to test their products, so at least they know
what they're taking.
Yeah, because I mean, cannabis, I think most of us would agree, is like it's a magical plant. It's even if you're an evolutionist, you can say, oh, it's the millions and millions of years, it's adapted and it's became this really awesome plant.
Right.
Or if you're more of a creationist side of it, you say, well, God knew what He was doing. And either way, I agree. It doesn't matter to me. So, but it is a fantastic plant. You look outside Fukushima right now to control pollution and radiation. They have hemp growing,
wow.
Which is Cannabis ruderalis. It's still cannabis because the root systems are just, they're almost like a biofilter. And so when we take that same consideration now that we have basically a biofilter on steroids of a plant,
right.
And now we're putting it into a container and controlling its nutrients going into it. Well, if we put the wrong nutrients in it or we put too much nutrients in it, we're going to see that on the back end of the flower on harvest.
Right.
So it's
or like heavy metals and things like that.
Yes.
It's uptake of those products. It's great at doing that, and so therefore that's a double-edged sword when you're talking about concentrating it down into a medicine, because it matters where it came from at that point.
So to bring it back full circle for the people that are growing at home, which I highly encourage, just giving them an outlet in a way that make sure that the medicine that they're growing at home is still safe for them at home too. Which I'm sure there's lots of great organic growers out there. Oklahoma's got a rich and proud history of agriculture that will be able to do just fine. But if they're anything like me, before I give anything to a loved one, I'd like to know for certain that it's it's 100%.
Right, absolutely. Well, did y'all get a lot of pushback from your doctors when you introduced CBD or talked to them about CBD?
No, actually, one of her pediatrician actually has CBD products in his lobby area for sale. He's a big proponent of it. He understands the science of it. The World Health Organization just recently made an official statement on CBD saying it's completely safe. There's absolutely no consequence on CBD.
Wow.
They didn't say that same thing for THC, which, because of the lack of research, but they could say it's for certain with CBD that this is completely safe. So
well, I think maybe it's not necessary, although it is a lack of research as well, just because of the schedule status of the THC side of things.
Right.
That they probably wouldn't want to sign off on that. But I think overall I found in the last couple of years that with the medical community, that really most of them were on board.
That's incredible.
They supported it. It was just the elephant in the room.
Right. Just
like it has been culturally for a lot of people, and especially here in our state, where there was a lot of professionals, a lot of people that supported it, but wouldn't dare say it in public.
Right. Right.
And at least in the voting booth, they did what they wanted to do and led their heart's conviction to vote in the right category. So same thing. We're just fast forwarding a little bit.
Another positive point of making it legal. It's not considered to be criminal or black market at that point, that people can come out even if they're Christian or if they're a business person, or all of these different aspects of people that were afraid to say anything before because of stigma and that sort of thing. Now they can come out and say, yes, we support this. We can use it as a medicine instead of me, having to take my prescriptions, my opioids or whatever for pain, which is, people don't understand chronic pain issues either, and how much of a nightmare that can be every day for people. And we punish people for different types of addictions to try to get rid of pain problems, and it's like you will not know what that person's going through till you go through it yourself, And so we need to stop. We need to start making alternatives like this for people who want a safer alternative to opioids or other things that they're going to. So it's just an all-around win-win-win, and I didn't really expect it for Oklahoma this soon. I thought it would be another 5 or so years, 5-10 years maybe before it really came around. So I'm very pleasantly pleased.
Well, when did y'all get involved? Because I know you were very vocal advocates for the law for 788. When did you guys get involved with trying to get cannabis legalized?
Well, originally we did help take some signatures for petition, but and it was not very much as far as I go. So, but we did spread the word amongst our family, and we were definitely supportive at that time. But I don't know how long ago it was now. I saw that you know, I'd worked previously in my career in nonprofits, and one of those was Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which, you know, at a grassroots level helped shape, you know, laws and advocates, you know, for people and victims, and so I very much had a lot of experience there, and thought I had something that I could at least help bring to the table and help get 788 passed, because I of course I saw it was crucial for Lyra and Carver, and so we had a phone call originally, and on that call there was a National Normal was on, Drug Policy Network, Norma Sapp, Ryan Underwood, a couple of players, and we decided that, hey, we need to have a strategic plan.
Right.
And so I kind of developed a strategic plan and got some others involved, like Frank Grove, and we formed the Vote Yes on 788 Political Action Committee, so I'm one of the founding members of it. And
when did that get formed?
Officially on paper, I believe that was formed October last year. On paper. October of last year? Yeah, that got formed, and so we right off the bat executed strategy, and one of those things is we felt like it was, a lot of people wanted to slow us down. Right. And so I think that, you know, from my perspective, slowing down wasn't the way to go, and there were some people that believed in, you know, that strategy of what I came up with, and, you know, after we all pulled our brains together and said, let's go ahead and go for June. This is going to be the way to go, because we had, Frank was really smart to put a quick implementation clause with 788 in there, so we felt like if we could get it happening in June, our opposition didn't have time to plan. Gotcha. And so I didn't want to be slowed down. Of course, I'm a former grunt, so I like to go and go fast. And don't give them time to plan. Right. Hit them. And so we put everything out there, and it worked. And it worked so well that you could see it in the numbers. And anyone can check out the ethics reports on it. That Vote Yes on 788 Political Action Committee, we spent $152,000. That's what we spent for this campaign. And our opposition spent $1.2 million against us. Wow. And that we know of. That we know of. Hey, that's a great point. So, you know, I like to be very respectful of competition, but I think it's safe to say that the grassroots effort, you know, it just proves that you don't have to have a lot of money in politics if you have the belief and the power of people. Right. And we just got to talk and get together and make things happen. Absolutely. Well, what sort of, as far as the funding for the opposition, where did most of that come from? Was it Big Pharma or?
A lot of it, there were some interesting people that, you know, like...
Strange bedfellows?
a lot of, I think a lot of hospital affiliations.
There were a lot of that,
put in. There was a lot of banks as well as, there was what tribe was it?
Choctaws?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know what, maybe it's because of the federal funding issues there, and, you know, anybody who, you know, has federal funding is not going to like it because of what's going on. So, but, you know, Schedule 1 of it's probably going to be dropping soon. I mean, we would think that would happen within the next couple of years for sure, but... it's just a matter of time.
I'm trying to remember what their name was, but they all had, the opposition all had really strange names, because one of the things that our group did, and I think as Frank and a couple other guys, and Bud did it as well, I know, is went ahead and before we ever got started was locking out all of the names.
Yeah, online.
Immediately, online, block out all the website names.
Like no on 788, like we would go ahead and pre-purchase those things.
That's great.
I mean, it was a real magical time, because even though there's a lot of different organizations now that have their own piece and everything, they're moving forward, there was one time that all of us were very much focused on the same thing. It's like, you know what, we can do this. And
so we redirect No on 788 to our Yes page, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That guerrilla marketing, I guess.
Yeah, that's
grassroots.
Perfect.
We got some
guerrilla grassroots, guerrilla activism.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what sort of promotion did you do for 788? Did you do door knocking, social media?
There was tons of
a little bit
people.
of everything. So direct calling, as far as that goes, phone banking. Yeah. So and Jed Green was really one of the guys that had that up, and he's on the ground as far as field. He's phenomenal in that regard. But even like preventative phone banking. So not only were we phone banking for 788, but we were also looking at senators and representatives in their districts that were very anti and didn't want to play ball with us. And I'll just go right ahead and say it was Senator Irvin Yin was one of those. And so we made overtures and efforts to help the people that wanted to get him out of office. The anti-vax community was very strong in that, and they seemed to be a very natural ally. And boy, they did a great job because he lost in his own primary by double digits.
Wow.
So, but we were thinking in more strategic terms moving forward. Is not only do we have to make this, get access to patients, but moving forward to be able to establish an industry that wasn't going to be, cut at the knees by some wayward politician. Because we knew we had the public support. So. We wanted to just make the foundation that if any of the legislators, our daughter, if any of the legislature didn't want to follow the will of the people, that they were most certainly going to be punished for that. And the easiest way to do that is get them out of office.
What do you think? Some of the anti-politicians kind of looked at Yin and took notice of that?
I absolutely think that. Because if you look at discussions that happened before June 26th and before the vote, and it wasn't just that 788 won and it passed by such a large margin, but it's also what you're alluding to as well, that there were individuals who were adamantly opposed and they lost in their primaries. And so yes, everyone else was taking very much
so have you seen some of them doing about face?
I don't want to call flip-flopping, but let's just call it the fish dance.
They do a little crawfishing on that.
Oh yeah, a little bit of backpedaling, a little crawfish in the back. You know what? Hey, I would much rather have friends than enemies. And to me, because I mean, honestly, I don't like talking politics like on a personal level, but we are conservatives. And I guess we have libertarian leanings as far as that goes. But
you kind of have to if you're.
I think so, but that's even more. I think most conservatives still feel this way, and it's not just conservatives. I think just people. Just people, not even just Okies, but no one wants to see someone suffer. Goodness gracious, and we're so affected, all of us, by cancer. And Lauren just lost her brother a couple of months ago.
Oh, goodness.
I lost her father 3 years ago, to cancer. And when you see someone that's having a hard time eating because of the treatments of cancer, because of the cancer itself, I mean, we all deserve to have dignity when we go meet our Creator. At least that's how I really strongly feel about that. And I wish that more, and I think more and more of my conservative brethren are coming online with that. And so I've been telling people, especially since June 26th, this is a brave new Oklahoma. And we have a chance now to not only invigorate a new industry, help our fellow Okies, and help those that are suffering and needing, but really, more than anything else, we're not last anymore. And we finally, I think, we're ready to move forward into the 21st century.
Well, what's been the reaction of your family to your extended family, grandparents, parents? Brothers, sisters.
There was some originally, because of course we went to everybody beforehand to make sure everyone knew what we were doing and what we were thinking and why. And from the very inception, most were just understanding and supported it. Because they love Carver. They love Lyra. They want Lyra and the Carver to do good, and everyone liked them to be able to do good. There were some reservations of, I'm not supportive of recreation. And we said, well, obviously, we're not talking about recreation here. And but I would say that all of our extended family is definitely on board, and we've changed the mentality of some people. And I think that's really our story as far as what Lauren was saying at the beginning of this segment. The great thing about it is that people have had a perception of cannabis for so long,
Right.
and they think crazy kids, in college, and this kind of youthful wildness, and it's not that.
Right.
And I want other people to understand that kind of the John Mellencamp family, that we used to hear in the song, little pink houses for you and me.
Right.
And we're an average American family.
Yeah.
We have very almost small town roots and a
Right.
small town ethic and small town feel, and we're absolutely normal.
Right.
Well, you guys, you've came out, you've seen our place out here. We're
Yeah.
we're nothing crazy. There's nothing. I mean, it's just a typical family. And
Right.
luckily, actually, this is crazy because it's quiet in here today. So that's more the crazy thing than anything else. But lots of life, a normal family.
Yeah.
And we want to let everyone know that this is okay. This is
Right.
okay, to take care of your families and treat them with medicines that that might not have been sociably accepted, but by data, by evidence, it is. And let everyone know that it's okay to love everyone else. You can, take care of your own. This is nothing bad. And if you think it is, do your research. Give me a call. Send us an email. We'll talk to you.
That's great. Well, tell me a little bit about Flowercraft.
Yes, ma'am. Flowercraft is a vertically integrated company, so we do everything to seed to sell. And basically all that means is that I want to make sure and have control of our product from the time that we put it in the ground to the time it gets to our one of our patients.
Okay.
And that means that we'll offer a wide variety of products, even though I know a lot of growers, and we are concerned as well as far as about flower, because it is the raw product, that it has to be absolutely clean and top-notch. We also utilize our products, or our flower product, into manufactured products that be strain specific. So a lot of times you have in the extraction process, it's kind of like a smash and break extraction process. It's very volatile, and it's really just kind of a grab bag with mix and stuff in it. And as we believe that the spectrum is what's important of the plant, so trying to get all of the alkaloid spectrum from that plant, and then you have that into one product. Because obviously strain to strain makes a big difference.
Right.
So I think that we're unique in a lot of ways, but mostly it's, I think it's because in this whole process we haven't ever thought about money.
Right.
And what we could do to profit off this.
Right.
My wife and I are very fortunate, and I see this as an opportunity to finally do in my life what I was born to do.
Wow.
So, anyway.
Well, that's incredible. I appreciate the time that y'all have
thank
given
you.
us today, and it's been nice getting to know a little bit more of the story.
Yeah. We've had a wonderful time, and thank you for interviewing us.
Absolutely.
We like sharing our story with people.
And I don't know if you want to visit us on social media, but we love hearing from everyone. We have on Facebook, it's just under Flowercraft, facebook.com/flowercraftco, which is Flowercraft CO. And then we are on Instagram as well as on our website at flowercraft.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know the Jenkins. I know my husband and I certainly enjoyed meeting them and getting to know a little bit more about why they're so passionate about cannabis. Be sure to check out our show notes page for a link to their website and other related resources at www.cannabishealsme.com/2. Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode of our podcast. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day.